Yo, what's up, peeps? Bradley here, coming at you all with a very special edition of The Wire. Normally we do these on the weekends, coming out a little bit early, as it's like middle of the week. No, it's a little later than middle of the week. We're past hump day. It's Thursday. So yeah, it's Thursday. We're coming at it with a special edition of The Wire. Why are we coming at it with a special edition of The Wire? Well, a lot of you probably already know. Tomorrow we have our third Super Bowl lined up. We have OC and his Bengals from the AFC North Powerhouse Division colliding with Benjamin Begelman of the Seattle Seahawks. Beeman pulling in the very first inaugural World Super Bowl Championship of the world from Madden Elite. He missed out on Season 2, but here in Season 3, he finds himself back in the big dance. He's finding himself back in the big dance with a dance partner you would expect. And what I'm referring to, a dance partner from the AFC North. In Season 1, the Browns of the AFC North, Estrada, made the Super Bowl, fell to Estrada. In Season 2, Chuck and his Ravens from the AFC North made the Super Bowl and went all the way, bringing home the title to the AFC North. And now here in Season 3, we see again the AFC North in the division. Or not in the division, but in the Super Bowl. So we have both of these teams in the Super Bowl. As I was getting ready for this show, I posted a poll in the Discord. And basically that poll is, who do you have? And I left it open for guys to vote on. Last I looked, that poll was split directly down the middle, which honestly kind of surprises me, because I would venture to say a lot of people would probably go with Benjamin Begelman for his second Super Bowl. And at first saw, I thought that is who I was going to go with. I thought my selection in this game was going to be Benjamin Begelman and his Seattle Seahawks, but I'm not so confident that's the pick I want to make. I think, for no bias reason at all, right? I think that the Bengals are gonna get it done. I think OC and his Bengals are gonna get it done. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's break things down and let's look at things. So right off the bat, let's compare the gist and the breakdown of the two teams, right? The Bengals are sitting at an 85 overall. Not too impressive, right? And then when you look at those Seahawks, it is absolutely ridiculous. Beeman's got him up to a 90 overall. He has a 200 X Factors and Superstars on that team. He has developed that team very nicely. However, Beeman may have the stronger team on paper. When you begin to look at the stats, though, things are pretty close. OC and his Bengals are sitting with the 5th ranked offense, while Beeman, his offense is ranked 1st. So Beeman has the number 1 offense. OC has the 5th ranked offense. What is the discrepancy between the two? Well, Beeman's averaging 39 points a game. OC's averaging 32 points a game. So that's about a touchdown less that OC's scoring the Beeman. When you look at the defense, right, OC is sitting at the 9th ranked, is sitting with the 9th ranked defense, while Beeman is sitting with the 13th ranked defense. It would look like OC has a big stronghold right here when it comes to who has a better defense. But when you really break them down, OC is allowing on an average of about 22 points a game, while Beeman is allowing on average 24 points a game. So that's a 2-point differential. So that's kind of a wash. All in all, when you break down the gist of the two teams, Beeman's team it's a powerhouse. It is a powerhouse to be reckoned with. Beeman on average, Benjamin Begelman on average is scoring about a touchdown more than OC and his Bengals are scoring. I think there might be more to the story, though, and we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. We're going to come back to this, but I think there's more to that story. I don't think the discrepancy here in Beeman scoring a touchdown more than what OC is per game, like, I don't think that is too big of a deal. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's kind of dive into some specifics on these teams, right? So comparing the running backs of the two teams, the running backs are really close in par. For the Bengals, Bengals obviously take the edge here. It's not too great of an edge, but it is an edge to say the least. Joe Mixon he's a 99 overall. He's an X factor. He's averaging 7.3 yards per carry. The real big like differential we'll see in the stats between the two running backs. Mixon has put up 17 touchdowns on the ground with 1,608 yards. When you compare though Mitch Malone, the 1-year pro that Benjamin Begelman drafted and developed, Mitch Malone is sitting at a 94 overall. He's an X factor, 6.4 yards per carry, and he has 29 touchdowns on the ground compared to OC's Mixon putting up 17 touchdowns on the ground. So that is 12 more touchdowns on the ground that Mitch Malone has scored. Mitch Malone also has the edge in yards with 1,725 yards. A stat not really reflective in this. I feel like Mitch Malone has really come on late in the season. So if Mitch Malone got the focus he got early in this year, I wonder how much greater his stats would be. And it's also possible that maybe I'm like making more of a big deal about Mitch Malone coming on in the end of the season than it really is. I think early on in the season people weren't taking notice of what Benjamin Begelman was doing with Mitch Malone, but here late in the season Mitch Malone has really turned a lot of heads. What really like interests me about this is 29 touchdowns. That's a big deal. Benjamin Begelman has a reputation of being like, hey, he's going to air it out. You got to play that deep ball right. But we see here Mitch Malone, 29 touchdowns on the ground. Overall, the Bengals obviously have the better back. And there's a lot of similarities. But in the end, Mitch Malone, he's been a touchdown machine. We have seen through the course of the playoffs, we saw it in OC's game against Bread, right? We saw it all throughout OC's playoffs run. To stop OC, you have to stop Joe Mixon. OC, going into this game, may get a taste of his own medicine. It'll be interesting to see how the narrative here plays out with these running backs. We talked though about their running backs, right? We talked though about their running backs. Let's take a moment and look at their wide receivers. Bengals, right? So when it comes to like wide receivers and tight ends, this is an area that the Bengals are just massive short end of the stick. Their biggest weapon here is Tyler Boyd at a 90 overall. When you look at their other threats offensively, there's not really like any star receiver. He does have some diamonds, some gems in the rough, right? He's got John Ross sitting there. John Ross is a threat to take it any play. And if you've followed OC through the course of the year, you know CJ Uzomah down here. On paper, Uzomah isn't anything fancy. However, OC knows how to utilize him, and he will be a force to be reckoned with in the game. When you look at this receiving core, though, it really lacks something. And then when we shift gears, right, and we look over to Benjamin Begelman's receiving core, holy crap. He's got DK Metcalf, 99 overall. He's got McCole Hardman at a 93 overall. He's got KJ Hamler at an 89 overall. He's got Will Dissly at an 86 overall. He's essentially got 4 guys that on paper are about as good as OC's top threat. When you play Benjamin Beeman, Bayman, Bagelman, there's a real problem on the field, and that real problem is mismatches. When you go in and you play Benjamin Beeman, Bayman, Bagelman, you got to be prepared to shut down more than just one person. Because once you key in on one person, he'll come over the top on you on somebody else. There's a reason why there's a reputation for Beeman about him being like the big threat, the big play threat, and that reason is this group of weapons that he has: DK Metcalf, Mecole Hardman, KJ Hamler, Will Dissly. And then you get in the fold of all of these guys, he's still got Mitch Malone on the back burner. There may be one saving grace that will save OC, that can save OC from all of these weapons. The biggest weakness on Benjamin Beeman, Bayman, Bagelman's team, it's this right here. It's this quarterback play. Now you might be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Cincy? What are you talking about, Bradley? What are you talking about? On paper, the Seahawks, they have Russell Wilson. The edge goes to the Seahawks. Russell Wilson has put up more than 4,000 yards on the season. The edge goes to the Seahawks. Let's really break this down, right? So Russell Wilson, he's a 98 overall. He's got a 65 completion percentage with all of those weapons. You know why it's a 65? It's because he's forcing crap. And then when you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, he's winning the ratio, right? He's got 42 touchdowns. He's got 34 interceptions. He's got 4,147 yards. The stat I want you to key in on, though, 34 interceptions. On average, that is more than 2 interceptions a game. My prediction for this game, OC is going to come in. He's going to play smart. He's going to stay in it. He's not going to allow Benjamin Beeman, Bayman, Bagelman to bury him. And then when this happens, I think it's entirely possible for Benjamin Beeman, Bayman, Bagelman to begin to get frustrated. And when he begins to get frustrated, you're going to see the 34 touchdown or the 34 interception issue come into play. I think Beeman's going to throw multiple picks in this game, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I think OC's going to come in, play smart. Benjamin Beeman, Bagelman. I think he will be his biggest weakness in this game. We've seen it throughout the season. As for OC, Burrow isn't as nice on paper as Russell Wilson. However, he's sitting at a 92 overall, a 69 completion percentage. I'm going to call it right now. There's going to be at least a 75 completion percentage from OC. At least a 75 completion percentage from OC in this game. He's going to rely on Mixon. He's going to complete those passes. He's not going to throw a pick. Burrow has 29 touchdowns on the year, 19 interceptions, 3,103 yards. Overall, when you look at stat comparisons of these two guys, right? Even beyond the quarterback play, you're going to see something. On paper, Benjamin Beeman, Bagelman, he has the sexier offense. On paper, it looks like he's the guy, right? And it looks like in certain areas, OC statistically, he lacks. I think that statistical lack is from playing smart. Guys who come out and play smart, a lot of times they're not going to put up 4,000 yards. Through the course of like my Madden career, I've noticed something. And that is typically the most efficient guys aren't putting up 4,000 yards passing on a season. Why? Because they're playing smart, they're taking the underneath, they're moving the ball, they're moving the chains, they're not throwing picks. While the guys who are throwing 4,000 yards, pick. And I think there's another layer to this story as well. There's another layer that really makes me feel comfortable with my pick of OC in the Super Bowl. And let's look at that layer. That layer comes to us from their schedules. So let's look at their schedules. Let's break down their schedules. Let's kind of go through and look at like playoff teams that these guys have played. Let's look at big games these guys have had. So starting out this season, B-Man has a win over Zell. And a lot of people will look at that and be like, that's a good win. However, I really believe, like, I'm not hating for the sake of hating. Like, I honestly believe this. I believe Zell may be one of the most overhyped guys in the league. He puts up this nice record, right? He's 12-4, right? However, when you look at his division, other than Benjamin Begelman, his division's pretty soft. I believe if you put Zell in division, and if you would have put Zell in with like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I started when I was in the league earlier in the cycle. I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was in division with Jew and South. If you put Zell in that division, I believe Zell would finish that division being the third man on the totem pole. I put Jew and South above Zell. And like I have kind of gone through as well in past wires, breaking down Zell's games, right? Who has Zell beat? Zell hasn't beat anybody of note. And like Zell's biggest game of the year, he plays Benjamin Begelman twice. Guess what? Both times Benjamin Begelman wins. So when I look here and see this big win over Zell, I'm not super impressed. It is a win over a playoff caliber team though, so we will give him that. And let's kind of go through his schedule. So nothing of note, 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 nothing of note. Okay, here. Packers, Lunas Packers. That is a playoff caliber team. I would say it's a lower tier playoff team. We haven't seen a I would say lower tier playoff team. Benjamin Begelman pulls off the win. Here, he pulls off a win against South. I believe South is a top 5 guy in the league, so that is a big win. Here, game against Bread, he loses 21-24. This game right here, a 41-37 win over the Saints. The Saints is doesn't have a reputation of being great. He was in the playoffs this year, so that is a win of note. Here in week 12, though, he loses to the Chargers 38-20. This is the previous Chargers owner. The previous Chargers owner didn't get a chance to really make a major run in the league, so I don't fully know what he is capable of. I will say this. We see this loss here on Beeman's schedule, right? OC loses to the same guy. So that's a wash. That's a cancel out. Moving on, a massive win here against Kanyu. 52-31. Nothing of note. A win against Jew, 19-27. I would say that is a win on par with a win against Zell. Nothing of note. And then he finishes the season with a win over Zell. The last time that Beeman lost was week 12. And when we look over this schedule, there's only a couple games here that really make me go, okay, that's legit. Honestly, only 2 wins made me go, okay, that's legit. That's a win over a top guy. That is the win over South. It's also possible that may have been a sim because South took a lot of sims this season. However, I don't know. So that might have been a sim. He did get a win though over Bread, so that is a big win. So all in all, there's only really 2 wins that make me go, okay, yeah, win over top guy. And there's only a handful of games that really made me stop and be like, okay, that's a legit opponent. Let's shift gears though. So we've looked at Beeman's schedule, and I would say Beeman's schedule is pretty soft. So got OC schedule. So OC schedule. Starts out with a win over Bills. He loses to Chuck, who is the reigning defending World Super Bowl champion of the world. He then gets a win over South. So top guy. First of all, hang on. First of all, let's just go through and look at his wins versus top guys. We only gave 2 to Beeman. So wins for OC against top guys. Falcons, week 3. Estrada, week 6. J-Mac. Oh, that's an L. That's an L. My apologies. Estrada, week 12. Fun Guy, week 14. Malibu, week 15. Malibu, week 17. That is 6 wins over guys who have been competing at the top of the league. Now let's go back through, right? 6 wins over top guys. Let's go back through and look at wins over playoff caliber teams. South. Saints. Browns. Panthers. You might say this is fishing, but Gumbo did make playoffs season 1. Week 11, Dolphins. Week 12, Browns. Week 14, Ravens. Week 15, Steelers. Week 17, Steelers. That's 9 games. 9 wins over playoff caliber teams. That is over half his schedule. OC might not have the statistical magic, might not have the sexy 4,000-yard season. He might not have 4 weapons that are equal to the other guy's top weapon. But what he has is statistical efficiency through an incredibly tough schedule while winning the toughest division in the AFC, or in the entire Madden Elite. While Beeman had 2 games, 2 wins against top guys. Beeman had 2 wins against top guys. While OC had 1 loss in his division that is full of nothing but top guys. A lot of people, I think a lot of people, we asked every single person in the league who wins this game. I think the majority of the league will probably be like Benjamin Begelman. I think OC, though, was a dark horse. I think OC is a dark horse, and I think OC is going to get it done. We find out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, over at twitch.tv/Snipes Television. So until then, peace. Benjamin Begelman, good luck. OC, good luck. I wish you guys the best. And I'm hoping for an incredible game. Good luck, guys. Peace.